BBC One, reconstructed by 999.
All of tonight's rescues are true stories. We've sometimes used actors and stuntmen, but everything you see is based on the accounts of the people involved. They've helped us to reconstruct events as they happened. Tonight on 999, a smashed mask and a trail of blood. Terrifying clues that lead a diver to his friend trapped underwater. Crushed under a 38-ton lorry, the forklift truck will have to move 10 times its normal load to free her. An airship's test flight is its last when it crashes into a tree. Can the branches hold its weight? This is just one of the Professional Association of Diving Instructor Schools in the UK, PADI for short. It's the largest diving training organisation in the world. In 1995, it certified 25,000 divers from the UK alone. Liam Taylor and Will Ferguson were two teenage divers who'd been through the PADI system and were on a school diving trip in 1992 to the volcanic island of Lanzarote. Perfect place for diving, sunshine, clear water, interesting underwater topography. Liam and Will were both experienced divers. They both got the open water certificate and they were both hoping to complete the advanced PADI diving certificate. The course was supervised by two experienced PADI instructors, so should have gone ahead without any sort of hitch. But it was a classic case of being in the right place at the wrong time. In our reconstruction, the two boys are played by actors, but all the others are played by themselves.
Good morning, boys. How's life? Is this one for you?
Cheers, thanks.
Look at the visibility. Very good, isn't it? Your first deep dive.
Excellent. Excellent.
I've been here 9 years. We have 1,500 divers a year. 1,000 qualified divers a year, and 500 of that are students.
Yeah, do you reckon Randy was being serious about them sharks?
No, he was just winding us up, wasn't he?
I've known Liam for the best part of 7 years. We'd started going to school together about the age of 13. We used to be in the same class. You know, we kind of played in the school teams together. We used to play a lot of squash together, and so, you know, it was quite nice to be able to get back together with him for this trip. We were part of a large group that was organised by a dive school in northern London, and we went out basically for a week's diving to qualify for a PADI advanced diving course. It was quite funny because whenever we used to go and do anything, but it always seemed to be Liam who got into trouble for it.
When I started 9 years, they happened to be one of the first schools who came to us. They come 2 times a year. They have very high qualified instructors. They're very good trained person. So I didn't have any problems of they diving on themselves.
William and Liam were preparing for a 20-metre dive that day.
The buddy system, it's a standard diving procedure in that basically you always have to dive with someone in case accidents happen. And if the accident does happen, then you know you can help each other out and hopefully get out of any situation that occurs.
Oh, is it all right?
Yep.
Okay, Jose?
Okay.
Okay, guys, let's go. Let's go to the water.
Yep, let's go.
The leader swam out to the point where to descend. We all regrouped there, and then we were given our instructions to say we're going to dive down to a depth of 20 metres, whereupon we'd get to the seabed, whereupon we'd regroup, and then just go and look around that area.
Rene watched as the group made final checks before going underwater.
You have to ascend and descend very slowly because of the air pressure, and you have to equalise continuously all the time. Equalising is a problem that happens with diving, is that when you go underwater, the pressure builds up and it decreases the airspace in your body. So basically the airspace in your ears becomes smaller and smaller, and the danger is that if it becomes too small, your eardrums are going to implode in effect, and so your eardrums burst. But at a distance of about 5 meters underwater, Liam gave me the signal that he was having trouble equalizing his ears. So we stopped, we kind of hovered at that point, and Liam went through the general procedure for trying to clear your ears. He kind of tried blowing through his nose, he tried swallowing and massaging around his ears. He tried everything, but he indicated it was having no effect, whatever. So we slowly rose to the surface.
René began to suspect that something was wrong.
I thought maybe they need some help, not help on rescue things, but just maybe they don't have enough weight, belt.
So I said, well, you've tried everything, we'll try it just the same again, going slowly down. So we started to descend a bit slower, and then at only about a distance of about 4 meters underwater, you had the same problem, you just couldn't equalise. And obviously, at this stage, we were both getting quite impatient. I wanted to go and dive. Liam obviously wanted to, but couldn't. So, we're like, oh, what should we do? So we tried everything again, rose to the surface again.
When they were working, I saw the boat coming, and that concerned me directly, because that boat was in an area where he's not supposed to be. As soon as I saw the boat, went and took the radio and called the boat. Every boat's supposed to have the radio turned on. I don't think he had it turned on because he didn't respond.
The boys were unaware of the approaching danger, and Liam was still having trouble with his ears.
We tried everything, but he indicated it was having no effect, whatever. So we slowly rose to the surface.
The moment they go down again, I thought, okay, they're down. The depth there is about 10 meters, so there won't be any problems with the boat.
As soon as we hit the surface, we heard the sound of the boat, obviously, and turned to our right. There wasn't even time to shout or to signal to Liam to watch out. We both saw it at the same time, and then it was upon us.
I heard a bang. That means I hear and saw air blowing behind the boat. So I thought that's definitely something wrong.
I thought, thank God we're free. But at that stage I hadn't, really looked around. I was just waiting for Liam to come to the surface any second, but he didn't. As it took longer, I thought, so perhaps it's not so great after all.
So what I did then is called directly the Red Cross on Channel 2.
It's probably likely that the boat didn't hit him, it passed close by him, and he's kind of waiting underwater looking for me or something. So I did duck my head under the water, had a look around. Visibility was quite clear. So I swam down under the water, kind of going round in circles. But I didn't see anything for a long time, and then as I was coming back up, I started to see little shards of glass, and then I remember seeing Liam's smash marks falling down through the water. I saw a trail underwater, and at first it was a very hazy trail. It was just a faint hazy trail of red, but as I saw it, I thought perhaps it was some problem with the boat. It was only as I started to swim closer, following the trail, that I realised as it got thicker and thicker and turned redder, that it was actually blood, and there was obviously serious amounts of it. And I can remember looking down, and it was basically totally red. And I could see absolutely nothing bar the tips of Liam's fins sticking out from the boat. It went down under the boat. I felt up his body to try and find out where his head was, where he was trapped. But the visibility was so bad, and I was so unprepared for what I was going to see, that when in fact I did realise that his head was attached to the propeller by his tubes from his air tank. I really didn't know what to do. It was just actually like one of the scenes out of a Jaws film, the one where they're diving alongside a sunken boat, and they come to a hole in the boat and this face appears. It's a very scary moment, I remember. I really thought he was dead. I was so horrified by it, but my actual first instinct was just, well, obviously he's dead, there's nothing I can do. I thought, well, I have to try and do something. So I thought, well, I know how to give him my SOS, so that's what I'll go and do. And I realised the situation we were in, so we were both under the boat, holding on the propeller. The motor of the engine of the boat was still running, so I could hear the kind of engine chugging along, and there was I kind of holding on to the propeller. I thought this wasn't a terribly safe situation to be in. For all I know, they could have easily kind of thought, you know, they're safe and sound and revved off and gone home. When it came around to freeing him after I got the air supply in his mouth, I had to really stop and think as to what to do. I realised away after a while that if I turned the propeller, I'd get freer access to the air tubes to move them. So I turned the propeller and brought him towards me, and I was able to move the air tubes and then turn it back and untangle them a bit more. And by moving the propeller and untangling them, I was able to set him free. I was really anxious to get him out of there as soon as possible, to get him away from there, to get him onto dry land, air, and with the bivouac doctors.
Give me a hand, mate. Come on, please. Johnny. Hold it up.
And I realised he was bringing up when there were signs of life, so I was kind of shouting and saying, you know, come on, you know, it's not far now. But by that time, the bivouac were at the quay, and the luck, you know, I didn't know how, but an ambulance was really there. Everyone was prepared.
So the first thing is open the airway, look if open the dive chute, and check he had pulse. I didn't feel any pulse. I didn't feel any breathing. I saw him already 4 minutes under the water. I really thought he was dead.
I thought in that moment that he wouldn't survive at all. I mean, I was even telling René in the ambulance, you know, I don't think he have much chances to survive. I mean, you could see the brain perfectly. If you could be 1 millimeter deeper, the propeller or the banging, you know, he wouldn't. I don't think he would exist today.
Liam's heart stopped 3 times in the ambulance. At the hospital, he was rushed to the operating theatre for emergency surgery to the 5-inch propeller cut in his head.
I remember I spoke to René and I told him if he's alive, he'll be in a wheelchair.
Liam's family was on holiday in Ireland when the accident happened. When he heard the news, his father Warren flew out to be by his son's bedside.
I remember rushing from the airport into the hospital, straight up to the recovery room. And I walked into this small ward and I saw him immediately in the corner. Oh dear, I thought, this is bad news. And as I went over towards the bed, he opened his eyes. And all I saw was 2 big, enormous red blotches. And that really did frighten me. I realized how lucky we were that he was still alive.
The first sort of memories that I have when I came round, I remember going into the bathroom for the first time, maybe after a week or so. I have no idea how long I was out for. And seeing a reflection of what I thought was a window. And I started talking to the person on the other side of the window, just saying hi. When I realised it was me, I couldn't recognise myself. I had all my hair shaved off. My right eye was full of blood and I had bandages everywhere. It didn't look like me at all.
Liam successfully underwent major neurosurgery, but there would still be setbacks in his recovery. His father helped to nurse him through a severe infection and a fever caused by seawater in his lungs.
Now in Spain, they expect the relatives to be in there helping. And I was there most of the time, both helping to wash him and to bathe him and generally look after him, including feeding him. And I sort of felt that there was a great deal of recovery. Then this temperature thing arrived, and eventually I was there sitting with buckets of ice, bathed in towels, which I kept putting on his body to try and keep his temperature down, which soared through 103, 104, 105, even at one point 106, when he started to shake and visibly fall apart in my eyes. Now I was really worried, especially when I heard about some infection that can go on in the lungs, and I think it's called secondary drowning, when all the seawater starts growing and starts clogging up all the vessels in the lungs. And although I was asked to make sure Liam kept coughing, I could see him visibly deteriorating.
One of the things that I can think now that he's alive, because the strength and the powerful, because he wanted most probably really to live.
I think the fact that I survived is due to Will's quick thinking and the way he acted. I don't know if I'd been able to react in the same way that he did after seeing me trapped underneath the boat. It must have been quite a shock to him, and I really don't know how he did it. And it must have been very worrying for him that apparently the boat had not turned off the engine yet. They'd only put it into neutral just so it was humming away. To have seen a friend of his chewed up by the propeller and then to be underneath the boat with the engine still ticking over, must have been amazing.
I think a mother has a special bond with their sons or daughters that a father sometimes is excused from, doesn't take part in. And actually going through something like this does give you back that bond.
The doctor said I had a will to live, and that's why I survived. It's a nice thing to say, but I think it's a conscious effort to make sure I got better. I've got far too much left to do, and I didn't think there'd be any reason for me to die. I'm too young.